Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello, you're welcome to today's edition of Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. Money Radio is a program that brings to you Nigeria's business and economy cycles and issues of businesses around the world. My name is Innocent Odo, and today we're having a special moment in our studio. Leadership Podcast is marking its 1 year anniversary, and we say hooray to all of us and congratulations to all of us in the leadership family. Marking 1 year of this very important program is not a small thing. So we say congratulations to all of us. And we take that energy into the discussion of security. And today we're looking at how to deploy cybersecurity in the war against terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, and the issue of notorious unknown gunmen. And so this is one area that has troubled the nation, and of course, even the sub-region of West Africa are facing this type of scourge of terrorism all through 2002, and of course in the previous years. And so it has become very incumbent on all of us to really discuss the issues. And yesterday in Abuja, there was a very important cybersecurity conference that was organized with the Cybersecurity Experts Association of Nigeria being at the arrowhead of that conference. And of course, as it's very, very important, the federal government also sent their delegation to that very important conference. The National Security Advisor was there, though was represented by a Major General. We also have the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami, who was represented by the Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA. And that tells you how important that particular conference has been. So still going on right now in Abuja, where experts are putting heads together to brainstorm on the best way to secure Nigeria's cyberspace, and of course deploy cyberspace to the fight against insecurity that have troubled all of us in this country in the last couple of years. I am not alone in the studio. I'm here with my regular analyst and ICT expert, Haniel Jafar. Haniel, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure having you. Thank you. You're welcome. And Haniel, you were at that program yesterday. I saw you. And when I saw you, I was excited. I said, yes, this is one place I expected you to be. And I know you guys there as experts in this field. You guys have really did well yesterday in making that exposition on how the nation can actually exploit the cyberspace, using it, of course, to deploy it to the services of the country in terms of trying to address this insecurity. But there are some still very salient issues that I want you to actually throw more light on that particular conference.
Okay, well, generally the conference is the Cybersecurity Expert Association of Nigeria, and that is the sole indigenous association that manages all cybersecurity experts in Nigeria. So, and that was the yearly annual conference that we hold. So it's centered around national security. How you can use cybersecurity to fight to curb challenges that the nation is passing through. And so many persons, as you had rightly mentioned, were represented. Myself, I was there today again because it's a 2-day event, and I also gave out a paper which I would want to even discuss.
Yes,
with us. So my paper was in line with cyber intelligence, a subdomain of cyber warfare operations or operational cyber warfare. Now, one thing we realize in this country is that we're very good at speaking or saying things without doing them, and that largely has been a concern for us as not as a representative of the association, but generally as a cybersecurity expert personally. We've had series of we have the cybersecurity cybersecurity strategy and policy.
Yes.
That is supposed to give us outline on how to fight and how to prepare our cyber domain, sophisticate our cyber domain with all the necessary tools to make us ready in the case of a catastrophic event in the cyberspace, but the extent at which it's being implemented, it does not cut across all industry, because some industry or some sectors of the country or of the government have not implemented that part of their policy. We also have, and that was also mentioned at the conference yesterday. We also have the place where we are. There is the cyber, like my paper was in line with cyber intelligence, and we have this. We there, cyber domain generally was agreed by the U.S. DoD, Department of Defense, and NATO, that there should be a fifth dimension of warfare. Before now, we've only had four dimensions. That's the sea, the land, the sea that is dominated by the Navy, the land that is dominated by soldiers, army. We have the air that is dominated by Air Force, and we have the space that is dominated by Space Force. But generally, Nigerians, we don't, the Nigerian security architecture has not captured that, but generally there are four the dimensions of warfare.
So
but
the Space Force, what kind of structure does that
well,
have?
usually it aligns more. It's not as though that they 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 are a singular force, kind of like for Nigeria we have the DSA,
Yeah.
the Directorate of Space Administration, that is managing that domain. You get, so it's more of like a subset of other dimension, but not clearly a military force kind of thing. You get, so, but now these are the four. Before now, these are the four approved, or before 2008, these are the four approved dimensions of warfare. But the discussion between NATO and DoD brought about the fifth dimension, which is the cyber dimension. And it was agreed that the cyber domain should be the fifth dimension of warfare.
Okay.
And largely, the Nigerian military has keyed into that by agreeing to add that as a dimension of warfare, but we've not been able to put in the modalities in place to ensure that that is fused into our security architecture. Now, the Nigerian Army generally has the Nigerian Army Warfare Command. Now, when we're talking about cyber domain, it means it's going to be a singular force, different from the Army, different from the Navy, different from the Air Force, different from the Space Force. All they are different. So the cyber force should also be different, because it's also a dimension of warfare. You can get personnel from every other force to also operate on the cyber force, but it's a domain on its own. It needs its own equipment. It needs its own professionals. It needs its own centers. It needs its own. Just the way we have the chief of defense force and all that, it needs its own chief. Yeah, though we've not grown to that extent where it becomes an independent domain on its own. But yeah, countries are already looking at that, where the US has the US Cyber Command. What's it called? UK launched, was it 2020 or 2021? They launched the National Cyber Force. So we should also have a replica of such. So now the cyber what's it called, the cyber warfare command that we have, it's only attending to, because when it was agreed that cyber domain should be considered to be a domain or a dimension of warfare, there was no clear terms how it should be fused into the existing domain.
Okay.
So a researcher in person of Dr. Glenn Alexander took it as a research and brought forth recommendations on how it should be infused into the security architecture. And how he designed it was that he brought out four subdomains under the cyber domain. The first one is what's called the cyber operations, which is where the cyber warfare falls under. Okay, that we already have as under the army, not as a military, under the army. Okay, so then the second one is cyber information, which this is the domain that handles anything that has to do with information warfare. This is the domain that is supposed to be responsible for management of information that is in the cyberspace. For example, the NSAS saga that happened 2020. It is our lack. It is the lack of the military to have an information warfare unit. That's why they were unable to manage the issue. Because if there was an information warfare unit, they would have been trained on how to manage issues like that. So the second one is the second subdomain is the cyber information. The third subdomain is cyber crime. Cyber crime generally is it's further divided into 4 dimensions. We have the cyber crime detection, we have the cyber crime prevention, we have the cyber crime investigation, and the cyber crime prosecution. Because the police and the EFCC and other law enforcement agencies, they manage the prosecution, the investigation and prosecution. But the protection and the prevention and detection is largely in the hands of the military. The military is supposed to have a cyber crime unit that handles prevention and detection of cyber crime, and that again we don't have. And the last subdomain is cyber intelligence, which was what I spoke about. The cyber intelligence is the support system for every other the remaining 3 domains: the cyber crime, the cyber operation, and the cyber information. They all need intelligence to be able to effectively carry out for the unit to effectively work. So the cyber intelligence is the base, is the foundation that the remaining 3 domains rest on. Without the cyber intelligence, largely the remaining three domains will not be as effective as it should be.
Now, Haniel, there's so much talk about our cyberspace, protection, proactive measures also being taken to deploy cyberspace into the security network so that to be able to handle the scourge of terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, the issue of unknown gunmen. I think these are the issues that dominated discourse yesterday. The president of CSEAN, Remy Afon, said so much about that. The NSA also said that the federal government is also trying to galvanize Nigerians on that perspective, so that they will be able to get intelligence and also help themselves to become even more useful in the way they also secure themselves as well. So, but there's a problem that you have just raised here, the issue of this intelligence. We need this intelligence to forestall some of the activities of the Boko Haram, for instance.
Yes.
But it appears right now as if the intelligence of the terrorists, the kidnappers, are they competing with us in terms of our intelligence, or they're even ahead of us?
Well, that I would not know because I'm in the military. But I'm not in the military, but I know fully well that there are different aspects of intelligence. There is the human intelligence, there is the signal intelligence, there is the cyber intelligence, and there is OSINT. OSINT is actually a subdomain under the cyber intelligence. That's open source intelligence. Now, the terrorists, for example, they hardly use the cyber intelligence to carry out the intelligence. Most of the intelligence are human intelligence. That means there is every likelihood that they will have spy within the military. There is that chance that they will have. They don't even use signal intelligence because they may not have the sophisticated weapons or equipment or the power to power the equipment that will enable them to carry out that level of intelligence. Signal intelligence has to do with gathering frequency transmissions and the likes. Okay, so their major concentration is on human intelligence. That means they have somebody that knows somebody that can give them certain information. So that is good for them, but for us, while we on the other hand, the military on the other hand, it's difficult for us to be able to fuse in somebody inside their midst. Because so if we're able to fuse in someone inside their midst, then it means that we also have human intelligence in them. But
let me just hold your thought on that. We'll take a short break and we'll come back and continue with the discussion.
Hey, at Lastford Podcast Studio, it is 1 year already. 1 year of making your day exciting with informative, educative, and entertaining programs. This 1 year with us, you have been following Harika Dehansi, Inside Nigeria, Money Radio, Everyday Tori, Sports Updates, and the big issue. Not leaving out the big interviews. Special shows and coverage we have been showing daily. We say thank you for making Last Word Podcast Studio a huge success. We celebrate you because you have the last word. Hey, at Last Word Podcast Studio, it is 1 year already. 1 year of making your day exciting with informative, educative, and entertaining programs. This 1 year with us, you have been following Harika Dehansi, Inside Nigeria, Money Radio, Everyday Tori, Sports Updates, and the big issue. Not leaving out the big interviews. Special shows and coverage we have been showing daily. We say thank you for making Last Word Podcast Studio a huge success. We celebrate you because you have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we have been talking about cybersecurity options for the federal government in its war against terrorism, banditry, unknown gunmen, and kidnapping that have ravaged Nigeria in the past couple of years. Still in the studio with Haniel Jafaru. Haniel, before we went on that short break, you were talking about intelligence. How is it possible that despite all the facilities that we have, the cyber space that is within the capacity of government, the terrorists, like you said, only use human intelligence. Yet this human intelligence that they have gathered is helping them to facilitate this evil business that they're doing. And of course, our own intelligence network, even the cyber intelligence, cannot be deployed to tackle them, or even, like you said, fish out these elements that are collaborating with terrorists to wreak havoc on the nation.
Well, the challenge is that we don't even have a cyber. I doubt if we have a cyber intelligence team. Because we don't have a cyber intelligence team. We don't have a information warfare team. We don't have a cyber crime team under the military, and the warfare, which is the cyber operation team, it's under the army. The army, that's Nigerian army. It's supposed to be. It's either you have a unified force where the army, the navy, and the air force bring forth a team together to form that command, or you have, it should not be them. It should be a singular entity that is independent of this unit. So they are in this segment. So we don't have that. So even the one that we have, it's not as though that it's full. The remaining three we don't have. And lastly, the intelligence, which is the support system for every other the subdomain, is also lagging. So generally, definitely, it's going to show on our level of intelligence. But notwithstanding, with what we're doing, we're still getting some kind of results, but we can get better results.
But then, just like you said, some of these the variables needed now, the components part of this intelligence you just enumerated, cyber intelligence, information, and the rest of it, that the army, and of course the other security agencies are supposed to have as that enabling factor to push them into neutralizing these threats of terrorism all over the country. If these things are lacking right now that we're in the midst of this kind of crisis, I wonder how long we're going to put up with this type of scourge of terrorism. Aniel.
Well, it also depends. It largely depends on the person that is in power, not generally the head of state. I'm talking about the person in charge of the military, the NSA, and the likes. They are supposed to be the ones to drive the initiative and push the initiative to the presidency for ascension before they can do whatsoever. But yeah, the cyber security policy and strategy In one of its content, it mentioned the cyber defense strategy, which largely has not been. We've not seen it may have been affected, but we've not seen it's not showing from this end, from the end of the masses. So we have to understand that they have to understand that yes, whatever thing they're doing, we should be aware. We may not be aware, but we should be able to feel the effect. And one of the effects is definitely going to be being able to catch up with all these guys that are doing all these terrible things.
Okay, the CSEAN is a very, very formidable association when it comes to cyber security. Of course, they've held conferences and, of course, we understand some very comprehensive programs in collaboration with agencies of government, international organizations, but even down to the level of going to secondary schools, universities, and the rest of them to be able to create awareness on what cyber security is all about. And of course, yes, cyber security, as important as that is, deploying that cyber security is quite expensive, as I know, in Nigeria, but it has become a necessity that we, no matter what it will take us, will have to now invest more in the cyberspace to be able to help us in this dimension, because the cost of having terrorists running, running like a loose mad horse on all of us, I think cannot be quantified. If we, on the other hand, can counter that terrorism and insurgency and the rest of them with any enormous investment in this area. So, how much of investment do you think that Nigeria can make right now? Because it has become really urgent that we need to address this matter.
The thing is that we are not ready.
We're not ready.
Yeah, that's the plain truth.
That's an indictment on the government.
No, we are not
But we
ready.
have to speak the truth anyway. Yes.
We are not ready because we need the first thing is like as it was mentioned yesterday, the between drugs and cybersecurity now, which is more important.
Yes.
Because if you're looking at the statistics of what the things that would cause havoc to human existence, cybersecurity is number 4. Drugs is way down number 10. And in drugs, we have 2 agencies that manages drugs. We have NAFDAC that manages legal drugs, and we have NDLEA that manages illegal drugs. 2 agencies for an industry or a challenge that is number 10 as it regards to human existence or affecting the earth generally. Cybersecurity is number 4. So now we don't have a single agency that manages it. That's for cybersecurity. So that's why I say we're not ready. For us to show and prove to the world that we're ready, it invariably means that we have to set up an agency that manages cybersecurity. And we don't have that.
Wow, that's a very long way to go. But then we'll have to start that journey now. And there's so much talk about the issue of, for instance, lack of political will. The Remy Afon, the president of CSEAN, yesterday spoke so much about, yes, there might be some efforts being made by the military and the other security agencies to curb this scourge of insurgency, terrorism, and the rest of them. But then there should be more political will on the part of government. The issue is that these terrorists use mobile phones. They use they take their phone to snap, take pictures of their victims and be able to translate those messages across to people. So, what is the meaning? What is so difficult?
It's all about intelligence. If you don't have the intelligence, that's why I told you that intelligence is key, and that all boils down to the cyber intelligence I've been mentioning.
Yes,
because it's a mobile phone. It's been transmitted on a Nigerian network with a Nigerian IP. You get, even though largely some of the content will be encrypted, but there are ways with a cyber intelligence team. There are ways this can be maneuvered. There are ways you can carry out this level of investigation and get results. You get, so it's just that it still boils down the political. These are just factors. These are the children, but the summary of the whole thing is that it seems as though we are not ready, because if we're ready, we'll begin to, the political will come forth.
Wow, I wish you have more time to talk about this very important topic, Haniel, but we're out of time, and I'm being given signal that our time we have to leave the studio in the next couple of seconds. And I just have to thank you once again for joining us with your expert opinion on issues like this. And I sincerely believe that the federal government and other security agencies will come to tap this very important information that you have, or rather you go and share it with them, because they need you there, and they need us also to share this information with them, because security is everybody's business.
True.
And we must ensure that we carry it out to the point where it will all serve us to save ourselves and our nation from the scourge of terrorism, banditry, insurgency, unknown gunmen. I don't know in a country where gunmen are parading everywhere and they are not known. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Thank you so much for joining us on this segment of Money Radio. We promise to bring you a bumper edition when next will come. I've been in the studio with Hamia Jafaru doing justice to this very important program. Until we meet you again, thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.